Canadians, you need to pay attention because Health Canada just tried to quietly rubber stamp cloned meat and lab-grown cellular agriculture for our grocery store shelves with no mandatory labeling. And that means that meat cultivated from animal cells in a lab, the offspring of cloned pigs and cattle, even the feed behind it all, could have been pushed onto your dinner table as if it's the real deal, and you wouldn't see anything about it on the package. That's why we are launching protectourmeat.com, a national call to action demanding that Health Canada and the Federal Minister of Health, Marjorie Michel, uphold the existing regulations and classify these products as novel foods so that clear, mandatory, and honest labeling remains intact, because your right to know what you're feeding your family was on the line and very well still could be. So let's dig in. Health Canada calls Petri dish meat as safe as conventional food, and they say that the science is settled, which is funny because that's exactly what they told us about a certain shot a few years ago, and well, how did that turn out? Now, recently, Health Canada tried to quietly declare that food from cloned animals and their offspring is identical to the meat raised the old-fashioned way through real animal husbandry on real farms with real farmers, not done in a lab in a petri dish with some scientists. Then, after our reporting, they backpedaled. An update to the announcement says that the government received significant input, i.e. backlash, from both consumers and industry about the implications of this potential policy update. The department has therefore indefinitely paused the policy update to provide time for further discussions and consideration. Health Canada further clarifies that until the policy is updated, foods made from cloned cattle and swine will remain subject to the novel food assessment. And I think that it always should. That's why we're making sure to keep the pressure on at protectourmeat.com. Because Minister Michel deserves to be called out for this botched rollout with zero transparency and horrible handling of this major change. There obviously wasn't enough consultation or groundwork done before she tried to sneakily move forward on this policy change. And the minister should absolutely feel defeated right about now, especially because one of Canada's biggest organic pork producers, Du Breton, loudly shouted all of this down from the onset and took transparency into their own hands by vowing to voluntarily label their real meat so consumers can choose. Du Breton's CEO Vincent Breton said it best: "There's nothing wrong with innovation, but never at the expense of an honest food system." That proves that the backlash isn't about being anti-science or anti-progress. Rather, it's about the most basic principle in the grocery aisle. You have the right to know what you're putting into your children, and your grandchildren's bodies. When you hide the label, you take away choice. And when you take away choice, you essentially treat grown adults like toddlers who can't be trusted to decide for themselves. Billion-dollar companies want to flood the market with this cheaper Franken meat, while real farmers get squeezed out. In Health Canada, they were set on making sure that you didn't even know that you were eating it. They love bragging about their alleged regulatory transparency and openness, so let's hold their feet to that fire. If this lab sludge is so safe, so amazing, so identical, why are they terrified of a label? Put it on the package, let the cloned meat compete fairly, and let the people decide. If you agree, sign our petition at protectourmeat.com, because when you refuse to label and then act shocked when the public calls it a conspiracy, guess what? You built that distrust on the backs of your backdoor swindles and secret stakeholder sessions. So, fellow meat-loving Canadians, get involved at protectourmeat.com, where we're calling on Health Canada to do the one thing they claim to stand for: be transparent and label the cloned meat. Tell Health Canada we're not your lab rats, and sign our petition demanding proper labeling at protectourmeat.com. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Sign our petition and make sure that you never miss an update at protectourmeat.com. Canadians deserve the basic right to make informed, transparent food choices in the grocery store aisles. Don't let that be taken away by Health Canada. Visit protectourmeat.com.